Developer commentary this time for Riddle School 3. There's so much that I want to say about this one. I believe it used to be the fan favorite game of the series. I'm not really sure if it still is. But, the first thing I want to point out is that there's this big distracting X next to the cursor in the intro. And the reason that that's there is because I had this idea for a system... Well, it might have been taken from another game, actually, but I had this idea for a system where there's an X over the cursor during cutscenes that indicates that you don't click during them. Which is ironic because the only time it shows up in this game, the big X, is during a cutscene that you can click to skip. It just didn't work out, but... Anyways, I really like this puzzle with the globe. It's not exactly much of a puzzle, but I was really proud of the whole spinning globe effect. Combining items, like I just did, that doesn't work on all computers, and the reason for that is the way that I coded this game, you can click and drag items, and whenever you let go of the left mouse button in the right place, then you combine items. But the code that I used for that was key code parentheses 1, and that specific key code value doesn't work on all computers. By the way, I think the rubber band looks like a hammer there. It doesn't work on all computers, and so dragging one thing to another doesn't always work. So I had to release this game again on my site with a little bit different code, and neither version of the game works completely well on all computers, but I tried my best given what I had, and given how I designed the game. Also, this was going to be a little bit different. The rubber band, I was originally going to have it set up to where you hold up the rubber band and then you had this like 360 view of the room that you could pan around in. I didn't end up doing that because I really didn't want to draw the room again, and also I didn't know for sure how I was going to make the room loop around. Probably something like this globe, but it was more problematic to me for some reason. So there's that. Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to point out. This world map here, I think my friend had this idea for a map where it says you are here, and it's pointing at a school, or it's pointing at the school, and then there's another arrow that says not here, and it's pointing outside the school. And I didn't really know how to draw that very well, so I changed the joke. And I think his idea now was better, but I just didn't know how to do it, and so I didn't do it. Terrible arm animation. But I love the shut up sign. The shut up sign is the best sign. I made this music for the library because I wanted this room to be quieter than all the other rooms, considering it is a library. This Zonic is Awesome book was made at the request of someone named Zonic on a forum that I used to go to, and I kind of feel bad that I acquiesced to a request like that, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, people find it funny. How to Read is my favorite book. Just love the idea of a book called How to Read. I'm probably going to use that joke in something else someday. And this is the hint book. About 5 pennies, beating the game twice in a row, and there's a key in the jungle. We will see that jungle later. And this is based on a head-on commercial where it says head-on, applied directly to the forehead, 3 times in a row. If anyone has seen that commercial, it's kind of old by now. And there's paid. I wish I could go back and change the spelling of paid, because it's supposed to be P-A-I-D. Now I know better. This guy's name is Mr. Reid. He has bad eyesight. And for some reason, the glasses that I took from someone else work for him perfectly. And now he can read big print books. Mr. Reid, his name is what it is, partly because, you know, it's a joke on reading books, but also because one of my friends who helped me with ideas for this game, his last name was Reid, just spelled differently. Let's see, everyone's favorite cutscene? Best cutscene. This water fountain is the exact same in all 3 of the first games, and it's only like that because I was lazy. I didn't feel like drawing another water fountain. I think that the reflection of Phil is slightly out of sync with him here. I'm not actually sure if that's true or not. It seems a little bit out of sync to me, but I didn't know how to fix that whenever I made the game. Here's a fun puzzle. The janitor can hear a clog from a mile away. I was going to use this toilet clogging puzzle for some other game, like some horror game where you escape a bathroom and it would clog up and do something. I don't know exactly what it was going to do. I wasn't going to call a janitor in, but I don't know. It was going to do something like it was going to cough out blood. Whatever. So we have 3 pennies now. Newgrounds poster that you would never see in a real school because Newgrounds is kind of inappropriate a lot of the time. Dizz here. Whenever I made this poster, Dizz was just kind of a joke that my friend had in mind. The same friend who, like, his last name was Reid. Like, he told me that he thought it would be funny for there to be a foreign exchange student in the school who's literally an alien from space. And I thought that idea was funny, but I didn't end up adding that student to the game, so I just made a poster out of him. And that student was going to be Dizz. So that's interesting, I guess. Richie here, people wonder why he's in his locker. I like to think that he just locked himself in by accident. Because he's careless. Which means he's a very different character from who he was in the first game, whenever he was a hall monitor. I just threw him in this one because I wanted to bring back another character, and he was just convenient because he already existed. Pluto still looks like a planet to me. I'm pretty sure I made this poster very soon after Pluto was announced no longer a planet. And I'm still sad about that, and apparently a lot of people are still sad about that. Get the quarter. Let's go down here, Teacher's Lounge. All sorts of dialogue that I could press. The chlorophyll in the background here. It was my dad's idea, actually, to call it chlorophyll. Like, I wanted a soda machine there, but I didn't know exactly... I'm just trying to get out of this. There we go. I didn't know what kind of soda to put there. I didn't want to put in a soda that already existed, so... Why did I do that? Sorry, I'm thinking about later dialogue. Okay, Mrs. Oddverb about Richie. He's stuck in his locker, yes. A lot of people think that Mrs. Oddverb looks like a guy, which kind of discouraged me whenever I first made this game because I was trying so hard to make distinguishable female and male designs, and apparently I had failed. And it's still difficult, like, people still... As hard as I try to make someone look like a girl, people still think that the characters I make are guys sometimes. But that aside, Miss Count is in her room now. I can get this keyboard key. The reason that this room is filled with monkeys is because my algebra teacher had a room that was filled with monkeys. It didn't look like this, but it was just a classroom that had a whole lot of monkey stuff hidden in it, like monkey stuffed animals and monkey, like, flags, and there were monkeys and posters and stuff. She did not hate monkeys. That was just a joke that I had later. Like, I thought it would be really funny for someone to have a room filled with monkeys. Who hates monkeys? So, I have this keyboard key now. Use the button to make a button. This machine was originally going to make money. Like, it was going to make a quarter. And first of all, that doesn't make sense in terms of, like, the puzzles for the games, for the game, because then you could just keep making money and then have enough for the pudding. But also, it was illegal, and I didn't really think about that at the time that I was making up the machine. So I had to come up with something else that the machine could make, and I think my parents had the idea to make it a button that, that the machine would make a button. I'm having a hard time getting my thoughts out. There's just so many things on my mind at once with this. Blobbles was a series that I started making a long time ago, featuring a blue blob named Blobbles, and whenever I realized that his name could be spelled on a calculator, I thought it was so cool, and so I decided to use that for a puzzle. Phil Eggtree. The name Eggtree, it's not entirely random. It's still random, but The reason that his name is Eggtree was because that was just kind of the spur-of-the-moment name that I came up with whenever I was making a Yahoo account, like a Yahoo email account. And, I don't remember exactly what name I put in. Just the last name was Eggtree, and then it stuck, and I decided to use it for Phil. You can kind of tell that the button was a last-minute addition to this game by the way that Richie says, "By the way, I'm collecting buttons." Like, it's so random. I enjoy the cafeteria, the marquee especially, and the macaroni I'm pretty sure was ripped from a t-shirt that I designed for someone named Zach. No relation to the Zach in the game series, but I met someone named Zach after I started this series who wanted a shirt that said Zacharoni on it with macaroni in it, and I think I just took that straight from there. Tub of pudding. Biggest vat of pudding I've ever seen. And now for the Indiana Jones reference that I'm still pretty pleased with, honestly. Indiana Jones has been referenced countless times, but he just eats the entire thing, including the tin. Oh, and then he just breaks a roll through the wall. I think that this auditorium was going to have more of a purpose, like there was going to be a door on the side where you could just leave the school, but I'm just going on the logic that this school is too low budget for it to have doors that leave the auditorium. This text box is upside down because I didn't want to bother making a new text box for upside down. Hello, this is Mrs. Moose's. There might be other names in this game that are more clever than Mrs. Moose's, but this one's my favorite because it's fun to say. Anyways, I was sent here to see Mr. Potato because I'm awesome. And more Newgrounds references. This game has so many Newgrounds references. I kind of feel bad for that because it makes me feel like I didn't have enough original content. But this game does have plenty of jokes, and they're not all references, just most of them. But the references in back there, the Alien Hominid and Fancy Pants Adventures, and I cannot enunciate my words properly. Says you. 5 is just a running joke because on Newgrounds, well, it's a double joke, because on Newgrounds there's a 1 or 0 to 5 rating system, and so a lot of people would say vote 5 on their games and animations. And so I put that there to, like, I made a character named 5 just to make that joke, and also it's kind of like a vote for Pedro thing, because a lot of people wore vote for Pedro shirts back when Napoleon Dynamite was a big thing. And here's the ending that I wanted for Riddle School 2, but didn't make. Phil wasn't going to drive in Riddle School 2, because he was in middle school then, and this is high school, but I still wanted an ending where he was just free and leaving just the premises of the school. And here's the key that says key on it, because I didn't have confidence that it would look like a key. The reason that the school is next to the ocean is because this music in the background has wind chimes and wind, and it just felt like music that would be next to the ocean, and I didn't really have a way of changing it, so I just stuck with that, and it kind of adds to the whole feeling of freedom, I think, so it works out. Thinking a little bit more, I remember that there was this glitch in the game just after it was made, or just after it was released, that a lot of people discovered. And it was in beta testing too, but I think the beta testing was going on at the same time that the game was being released, so I didn't think that through very well. But there was a glitch where you could exit the school really early on, before doing most of the puzzles in the game. And I also remember the first time that I released this game was... It wasn't this release, but I was releasing it during a vacation, because I wanted to release it on a certain day, but I got the game to be the wrong size, and so I just ended up making it really small and not calling it Riddle School. It was so small that you couldn't even see it, just so that people would delete it, and then it got deleted, and then I tried again later. Just as a random tidbit. The flying pig that showed up, by the way, that was a joke because Phil says at some point, I believe in this game, that he will leave the school when pigs fly, and so it was just kind of a last, not really a last-ditch joke, but like, I figured it was a fun send-off for the game to have a flying pig, just as another random joke, because every joke in this game is completely random. Anyways, I'm going to try to beat it one more time, really quickly, for the purpose of showing that secret. And now we beat the game again. With a maybe very slightly changed ending. Yep, something's going on. You have been possessed by Monkey Doll. This is another one of those double jokes. It's both a reference to an animation that my friend and I made, where there's this part that goes, "You have been possessed by Donkey Kong!" And it was a silly reference to that, but more so it's a reference to the Tails doll curse. That is rumored to be in Sonic R, I think, is the racing game. But I figured it would be a fun thing to add since there are monkey dolls in the game, and Tails doll is a thing, so that's Riddle School 3 for you. I'm sure that there are plenty of other things that I could say about it, but I'm not going to linger too much. Just gonna move on to the next game pretty soon, so thank you all very much for watching. Oh man, that's what the panda said.